What's up, party people? I am finally in Melbourne, Australia. Left out yesterday, and we ended up getting diverted to Sydney because the smoke from the bushfires here in Australia was so bad in Melbourne that they diverted us to Sydney to take on more fuel, just in case. We ended up having to circle, and the visibility was too bad to land or whatever. So, trip took a little longer than I was anticipating. If you don't know, this week has been kind of a tough one. I went downstairs a few days ago, to find that my back window had been smashed in my apparently super secure building that I'm paying a fortune to pay rent in. And apparently several other residents had their windows smashed and things stolen out of their cars as well. So looks to be an inside job. That's new. So anyway, that's what you get for living in big cities and in big apartment complexes. And then I was doing some work on my friend's business, and ended up I was trying to set up a bunch of apartments, a bunch of units before I left, and ended up trying to assemble 3 tables, and they all had these huge marble tabletops, and I ended up dropping one on my left big toe and broke it. So that sucked. And then yeah, that was pretty much it. So all that being said, it's been kind of a challenging week. I've been a little annoyed, to be honest with you, with things and people in general. So, but one thing I did want to bring up with this video is flying in, and I was already aware of all the bushfires that were going on in Australia, but it's bad. I have been watching coverage here, of course, and mainstream media. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, they will spin a story to death. But it was kind of interesting watching the Prime Minister here sort of walk around to the affected areas. He was already in hot water because he took off on vacation while the bushfires were going on, and they were really raging at the time. So that didn't sit well. I don't think that was a good move. Clearly, he didn't have a good EA at his side, like saying, "You're not going on vacation, boo boo." Most people are going to say this, and this about you. But then also watching him on the news, the funniest thing I've ever seen, but really annoying at the same time, is he literally had to reach for people's hands to make them shake it because of the photo op and the television op. And a couple of people swatted his hand away, like, no, brother. No, you need to do more for us and the communities that are being that are completely affected by all of these fires. So it was just so weird. Like, literally, people's hands are at their sides, and he literally reaches down, like, intrusively, if you want my opinion, to pick up their hand and shake it because a camera was following him behind. And then it sort of made me think about, well, aren't we inevitably kind of, or sort of at the same time, doing some of the same crap, even in the U.S., with our political unrest that we're dealing with right now? And it really just goes back to kind of authenticity and being authentic. If you have a stand, by all means, stand by it, but be authentic in your convictions. I've got Republican friends. I've got friends who run the gamut, to be honest with you, and I love them. Even though I may not disagree, or I may disagree, and I often do with most of them. But at the same time, I love the fact that they are resolute in their convictions, but they're also incredibly authentic about it. It's not some game. It's not a photo op. It's not some sort of subterfuge or anything like that. It's who they are, and it's what they believe. And again, I don't necessarily agree all the time, but I do love the fact that they are friends of mine, and I chose them accordingly. And I also love the fact that they stick by their convictions, and that to me is hot, to be honest with you. But this whole thing about sort of posturing and putting yourself in this position, or at least visibly, because of social media, because of news media, etc., putting yourself in a position of appearing one way when in essence it's clear you're not, is something that shouldn't be normalized. I mean, Donald Trump does it, but my concern is that as we, hopefully move past this era in politics, or even if he does stay in office, I really don't care, to be honest with you. He doesn't affect my life as far as I'm concerned. You know, is that we don't personally normalize a lot of the behaviors that we're seeing on television, because what has always been the fact is what you see on television isn't necessarily real. There's always some sort of subterfuge or some sort of agenda attached to how people actually behave when the cameras are on. And that's one of the things that I want people to understand is, we go through all these big debates about, oh, Trump is in office and blah, 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 and the world's coming to an end and all that. It's not. I'm sorry. It's so not. We got so much shit to, in our favor, and things that we still have to do. And if you really think about it, our lives aren't that directly affected by the people in office. They are to an extent, like, let's keep it real. And yes, there are, obviously a lot of the things that they're voting on do have an effect on the quality of life that we live. But as far as I'm concerned, as long as you have air in your lungs and you're breathing and you're vertical, you've got it better than, a huge percentage of the population. And we need not get bogged down in all of this sort of Democrat versus independent versus Republican versus. It's not that deep. Really what we need to do is focus on who we are and how we're living our lives within the construct that we're given. And my thing is this. I've been kind of flirting with leaving the United States. I mean, that shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. Just because I don't agree with a lot of the things that are going on here. I believe that racism continues to exist, and now I honestly think it's going to get worse with AI, because a lot of the people who are building AI aren't really taking into account a lot of the struggles and issues that people of color have. And they're baking that already into the sort of substructure or the structure of AI, and doing that unchecked, just because a lot of the engineering community is not diverse. So, not their fault, it's just a fact. And unfortunately, that fact is going to turn into a lot of problems down the line for a lot of people of color. So, that's my own thing. Feel free to disagree with me in the comments, but I've done a lot of research. In fact, I'm researching a lot of that for a book that I'm writing, the third book in my series that I'm writing. So anyway, back to authenticity. One of the things that I really just want to get across to people is first of all, there's nothing sexier than being your authentic self. And there's nothing, in my opinion, that really benefits you being anything other than who you are completely. You get one life and you get one crack at it. So, it's also one of those things too where if you've kind of gone down a path with who you are, and let's be honest, we've all kind of fallen victim to this. We did it in high school, falling in with the wrong crowd or trying to fit in with another crowd that you didn't really feel a part of, but either you wanted to sort of, avoid the flack or just be among people of anybody that could sort of protect you from all of the drama that you go through in high school. I think, isn't it funny how we then, once we get out of high school and once we sort of live our lives and we are become adults, we sort of go back to trying to be who we are. But I think because of social media and because of the way that life in general is set up right now, authenticity isn't, it's OG, it's not the default, and that's a problem. I believe that living your truth, no matter what that looks like, no matter who you are, Republican, Democrat, any of that, don't care. Racist, non-racist, don't really care. As long as you are authentic with who you are, then that makes it much easier for everybody else in the world to look at you and understand who you are, as opposed to having to guess or having to, make up stuff, and create a narrative that may or may not exist about you. Put it out there. Who are you? Just let people know. then that way it's cut and dry. You don't have to have any anxiety around it. It's who you are, take it or leave it. And that's kind of how I live my life, you know. Don't expect everybody to agree with me. Don't expect everyone to like me. Kind of not really my MO, to be honest with you. I want to make sure that I like myself. In fact, that I love myself. And, you know, that's been a struggle for my entire life. But now that I'm 50 years old and I've lived enough of a life to really enjoy all that I have to offer and to find something that allows me to put good back into the universe in some way, I'm off and running, you know? So, sorry, a little bit of a rambly video. I'm having jet lag like you can't believe right now. But I just wanted to make a quick video about the fact that I'm in Australia, the fact that the bushfires are real, but also to bring up what was kind of sticking in my head as I was flying and watching like different news stories and stuff like that, and just the authenticity thing. I'm kind of done with phony people. I don't know what else to say. I'm just done with phony people, and I almost kind of pity them because they haven't yet realized that we all see through you. We do, and at some point when you do come around and you get your shit together, then that's when we'll, you know, really take you seriously. So there you go. If by chance you have any sort of discretionary spending and can spare like a 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 bucks or something like that, find a charity that's supporting. I think it's there's a Red Cross in Australia, specifically in Sydney, and I think there was another one in Melbourne, but I think it's the whole country of Australia, that you can donate to. Every little bit counts, and this country needs it. I'm here twice a year, and this is the worst I've ever seen it. I know we just went through this in California, but like this is California at times 10, 20. And it's real and sad because I love koalas, oh my God. And they're saying that so many died or so many perished in these bushfires and are continuing to perish that they are possibly going to become now an endangered species. That's how many. So we're talking millions of animals have died. So really think about it. I mean, if you've got, like I said, a 20 that's hanging around, or if you can give up Starbucks for a couple of days or something like that, send that money to the Red Cross in Australia or to any organization that directly benefits the sort of bushfire relief funds in the wild. It's a do-good moment for you, and it's something that this country, who is a sister country of us in the U.S., could definitely benefit from. So there you go. That's me for the day. I'm just gonna try and force myself to get some sleep with my broken toe, and I will catch up with you guys later. Have a great day today, wherever you are. Be authentic, and I'll chat with you soon.